I do this because I like hanging around with chiropractors,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of different chiropractors, all the kinds of different techniques.
Yeah.
And what I do, this gives me a chance to go and meet different people, get different mentors. And I like to just sit down sometimes with a beer and just hit record and just see what happens. And maybe it never gets uploaded. But there's no pressure. It's not like, hey, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I know.
What are your
five?
Yeah,
on the spot.
Yeah. What are your 5 tips for success?
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me just look it up somewhere. No. Yeah, I know what you mean. No.
How are you enjoying the science of communicating subluxation so far?
First of all, I always like to reconnect with people.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when other chiropractors come together. We meet, we talk, it's not only the seminar itself, it's much more because you're always together with chiropractors the whole time, till the night, in the morning, at breakfast. And so you speak the whole time about also personal and private stuff, but more about chiropractic.
Yeah.
And you see or you hear other ideas, you hear other solutions for problems, because we all have the same. I asked Brandy and Don if they have the same patients. For example, I have some pregnant women who are Germany's so much into epidural as a state of the art. Right. Everyone gets it, and about 95% of the women, if they get the epidural, have a birthing stop.
Okay.
And that's terrifying. And they get a cesarean 1 or 2 days later, because it's some hours later, sometimes even an emergency cesarean. So I said, how do you communicate that to your pregnant ladies? She said, just the same like you do. And when it comes to fear, they forget everything and they go into sympathetic status and they just okay, the doctor says, so I have to do that. And so we all have the same problem, but sometimes you find different ways to deal with it, find different solutions. So I love to reconnect or to connect to people I have never met. Because it's always interesting, always. And
I guess people like me probably take it for granted because I'm still a student. I'm in the bubble. So I'm constantly, 90% of my time is spent with like-minded people. But then once you graduate, you have to get used to not having the bubble so much. And then it's seminars like this and ChiroEurope that you'll come and reconnect with like-minded people. You're not just with your public.
Exactly, that's it. The thing is that what I found out through the last years, and you have to remember, I did my first adjustments last year.
Wow.
So, and in 2017, in April, when I went to ChiroEurope, I was just a CA. I had just become the CA of my husband, and I didn't like it because I was just an assistant. So in October, I decided to become a chiropractor. So in May, I passed my exams, and in 2018, and in September, I started adjusting after a lot of seminars I did within 3 months. But really adjusting, I started this year in February.
What seminars did you do?
I went to Syntropy, all the seminars except extremities, and I will do the mastery this year in September.
Ooh, I'd love to do that one.
Yeah. It's close to where I live. It's a 20-minute ride by car. Yeah. So, I'm really looking forward to that. I did Minardi, I did MLS, I did Inspiral with the Keating Sisters, which is a pediatric seminar. I went to see Daughter Blood, who's also an Australian chiropractor, but she's Danish. So I'm half Danish, and she gave a seminar close to where my family lives. So I had to go there. So it was also pediatric. And so much more. I can't even remember. Of course, chiropractic from the heart twice. I organized even one because I think everyone should go at least once.
I recommend. And if Uncle Stu's listening, I don't know if he listens to my podcast. But I hope he does. If you are listening, hello. But yeah, I went to chiropractic from the heart with Stu Bittman in Cork. And it was great. Very different to anything that I'm used to or have done before. That's why I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Because that whenever I first got into chiropractic, you couldn't have paid me enough money to go to a seminar like that. But I wanted to try something new and kind of push the comfort zone, and I'm really glad I did. So he doesn't do them often, maybe only 3 a year, if even that.
2 to 3 a year. This year was 3, and no, he wanted to do 3. So yeah, and he has a long travel to get here. So no, that was really amazing. And I just did the overview method with Nima Ramani, which was also an absolute breakthrough.
What's that? Is that like practice management or adjusting? Or?
No, it's getting or neutralizing old triggers from your childhood, which are in your way to become a better version of yourself.
Okay. So it's more along the chiropractic from the heart?
Yes. It's totally different, but it goes into the same direction.
And you said that you've only started adjusting within the last year, but then you had other training before that?
Yes.
Like you had like medical training and...
I'm a former paramedic.
What's your story?
I'm a former paramedic. You could say from the training I had as a paramedic, I'm the highest paramedic you can become in Germany. But I was also a teacher, so I have a master's degree in professional teaching. I did a lot of simulation trainings in hospitals with emergency rooms, with doctors, with nurses. I did resuscitation trainings on a very high level. I worked as a teacher for nurses, for paramedics, for people who work in nurseries for old people. So that was my life. And what I also did was I was an analyst for, there's a certain thing called critical incident reporting systems in hospitals. So I was the analyst of the reports that came in, and my job was to analyze why accidents or why mistakes happen in hospitals. And so I got really depressed by that, actually, because every day in every hospital in the world, the same mistakes happen, and it's most about medication.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you make the transition from that paradigm into heading towards chiropractic?
Actually, the big idea, the story about how a person falls on ice, that is exactly my story. I fell on ice. I slipped on ice, and nothing was broken. But 6 weeks after I fell, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand. I was close to a nervous breakdown. And funnily, in my naturopath school, which was 3 years full time, one of my anatomy teacher was a chiropractor. But that was 20 years ago.
Okay.
And suddenly I realized perhaps I should find a chiropractor. And after 4 adjustments, I was better than ever. And then I sent my husband. And my husband said, after the, I think, 3rd adjustment, I'm going to leave paramedic school. I need to do something with chiropractic. And he became a professional teacher for the master degree with an Austrian university and the Hamburg School. Mm-hmm. And that was my way into chiropractic too, because he opened a practice. I became his CA.
So you both found it together?
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's a really cool way.
Were you a good CA?
Actually, yes.
I was similar kind of thing. I was a CA first. Before coming to chiropractic college, I was a CA for 4 years, and I was awful. That's why I ask you.
No, because what I realized after my first ChiroEurope in April 2017, how important a CA is. Jonathan Clark is in charge of that. It's his fault, you could say, that he really made me realize how important the job as a CA is, because you see twice as much people as the chiropractor. And you know their stories. You see their faces at least 2 times. They come in, they go out, they call you, they talk to you first. They don't want to come to the health talk. You make them come to the health talk because you are explaining everything. So when I went back from the first ChiroEurope, I was totally changed. And another thing that really changed me is the Circle of Fire, the women's group that some brilliant ladies invented, because they really, since the day I met some of these girls, they are holding my back. I can ask them questions. We talk on the phone. It's just like we're a group of women supporting each other, and that is so important. And I didn't realize how important women are in a woman's life. So it's ChiroEurope. I call it my tribe.
Yeah.
And it's really my tribe. And this tribe has helped me through really difficult situations. And no matter if it was my naturopath, my healthpractiker exam, which gave me the legal allowance to become a chiropractor. And I told you before, I was close to going into the room where I had my oral exam, and I had the feeling that 700 people were standing back on my back, holding my back and telling me, "You can do this. You will do this." I was so calm, and that was amazing. And also, my mom died this year, and I had so much support from people. Although we saw it coming, and because she was very ill, everyone I got messages from people who found it out. I didn't even post something on Facebook like that, but they found it out.
Yeah, the community.
Yes. And this community, it's not just a community, it's really a tribe. A tribe, everyone in a tribe is important. Also maybe in a community, but the tribe is it's more about spiritual things. It's about emotions. It's about sharing stuff together, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the sad stuff. And I think without that tribe, I would not be where I am now. And I can say I love adjusting. I'm still the taxier, so I'm still doing all the first exams, all the rechecks, and I love that too. So I need to do the transition to a full-time chiropractor. And we're also moving with the practice, so we're getting much, much bigger. And we will find a solution for that. So it's not just like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? It's, yeah, let's do this.
And you've got that team behind you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So
last night at dinner, you told the story in more detail about your final exam. And that's actually what made me want to invite you onto the book, because we've run into each other a couple of times at seminars, and we would say hello and we're friends on Facebook, but I'd never actually sat and had a real in-depth conversation with you. And then when you told that story, I was like, oh, I want to get her on the podcast. Would you want to elaborate a bit more on that?
Of course, I can. Actually, I have to start with chiropractic from the heart in Florence to 2017, because it was just I thought it's just a more heart seminar. It's like how to get out of my crazy, much too much overthinking head into my heart. That's what they told me. So I went there and I met so many nice people, and I went there because I met Stu Bittman at ChiroEurope. Mm-hmm. Again, it's ChiroEurope, and so. The last thing is an adjustment. Oh, at that time, the last thing in the seminar was an adjustment. So I started checking, and I knew what to adjust, but I was not able to do it. And I started crying and crying and crying, and I found out that the reason for so many things I hadn't done in my life was that I was afraid to fail. And it's all about something of my childhood, good grades and all this stuff. So when I came to ChiroEurope, which was directly after chiropractic from the heart, I went on stage at the Parade of Stars, and I had never done that before. So many people sitting there and telling everyone, including my husband, who didn't know my chiropractic story, how it had changed my life, especially ChiroEurope, all the people there, Circle of Fire, how it had changed my relationship to my son, to my parents, to everyone in my life. And I said, and now I'm becoming a chiropractor. So I went home. I immediately signed in for the exam. So I had 6 months from October to March. I learned like hell, really. I have never learned that much in my life. And I went to the written exam, and I know that the failure rate is more or less about 80% each time they do 80% this.
80% will fail.
Fail, yeah, I knew that. So I was so nervous. And then I sat down I started meditating just for me, without anyone's certain voice, a little bit Lynn's voice perhaps, in my head. And then I suddenly felt this power coming from my back. And I was turning around. It was just like being in Malaga, having all these people standing behind me, and no one knew that the exam was on that day, but I felt everyone was there. People I know by name, people I just know by like their face, and friends. All of them were there. And I felt so much relaxed, and I wrote this exam, and of course I had the feeling I had failed, because everyone tells you, yeah, 80% fail. And but next day, I took the exam again, and our CA corrected it because the answers came out on the next day, and she said, well, yeah, I think you passed. And so 2 months later, I had the oral exam. And I had no idea what kind of MD was going to do the exam, because it's always MDs taking the exam on the naturopaths. And so I stood in front of the door, and there was a long corridor behind me. It was very long, 50, 60 meters. It was crowded with people, not really standing there, but saying, Stina, you can do it. You can do it. And it gives me goosebumps right now. Look at my arm, because I can still feel it. And I went into the door, and I was so clear when I came into the door that after the first 3 questions, or well, after the first question, which was, why are we here for? Or why are you here for? And so I said, because I want to become a chiropractor or naturopath. There's a law that says that I have to pass an exam to become that. And because I want to become a chiropractor and open up a neurological center for especially pediatrics, and yeah, live chiropractic. And he smiled at me, and afterwards, when I look at it, I knew in that moment I had passed. And I was so full of consciousness, and then a lot of questions about the nervous system came, which was so funny, because actually, what is chiropractic about? It's about the nervous system. And he was a psychiatrist, what I found out. And he asked me a lot of questions about the nervous system, MS, Parkinson's disease, about the pituitary gland, all this stuff. And
can they just sit and ask you anything? For it's not like a set written exam. Their job is to have a chat with you and see if you're
That's
competent.
The second part.
Okay,
the first part is a written exam, which is 60 questions. And that was funny too, because the first question in the written exam was a question about the spine. And I was just like, this is the universe. And there were like exam A and exam B. And only in my exam, the first question was about the spine.
You mean we work with the spine?
Sometimes. And so it was just like, really, the universe talking to me saying, okay, it starts with the spine. And there it is. And then I had this doctor taking the exam who was asking me all questions about the neurological system. And I was just like, this means something. And so the exam was much shorter than on the others that had been in the exam before me. It was just 20 minutes, but we were talking, and it was just, and it felt really good. It felt like a discussion with the doctor. It was, yeah. And after he did the congratulations that I had passed and all this stuff, I sat down and wrote it immediately down for other naturopaths who want to become, or who want to pass the exam. And I found out actually it was a quite difficult exam, and I didn't feel it at all.
You were just prepared for it.
I was prepared for it, but I also had the energy. And it's about energy. If you go into the room, you can be a medical doctor and you will not pass the naturopath exam if you are not like putting pieces together and having the confidence that I can do it. You need this confidence, and I got this confidence through my tribe who was standing behind me before I went into this room. And that was at least 50% of everything. Because if you just tell everything in the exam, but you're not showing that you are worth becoming a naturopath, they won't let you pass. They will find a question that you will not be able to answer.
The odds are stacked against you, I feel.
That's it, yes. So if they don't want you to become a naturopath, they make you fail. Yeah. So, and they were just like, yeah, it was really a nice, good exam. The MD even laughed twice. So what I found out through all this is that this tribe is so important in my life.
And that not all MDs are bad and have no sense
of humor. No, of course not.
Some of them have a sense of humor.
Many. I know so many MDs, and they are changing their minds too. I can see it because they are asking questions which go out of their comfort zone. So every German has an MD for like normal checks, blood tests or whatever. Well, it's just like I have one, and it's the one I used to work with in the emergency room because I used to work in an emergency room for 3.5 years. So I know him. I know that he's a good doctor. So, and he sends patients to us.
That's great. That's awesome.
That's so awesome because, yeah, and it's about the energy that we show up and we talk about it. And we told the chiropractic story and he said, like everyone else, oh, I didn't know that. So it's much more about the nervous system. Yeah. He says, cool.
In my, I'm a fourth year, I'm going into fourth year, so I have a very limited experience speaking with MDs. But what I've found so far is that with some of them, if someone wants to sit and have an intelligent conversation with me and keep the emotions down, even if they don't agree with what we're saying, then it's okay. Like, I'll sit with them. When people start getting emotional and they start just discrediting anything that you say without giving you a chance to explain yourself, that's when I just won't enter that conversation. I'll just remove myself from the situation completely. But I found already with 2 MDs that one of them even came to my charla. Charla's like the Spanish health talk.
Yeah.
And she sat, and I, beforehand I was a little bit nervous. Not nervous, but I was thinking, should I change something? Because I do the same talk every time. I'm like, should I change it? Should I add in more scientific papers? Do I need to, validate myself that way? And then I thought, no, like, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I always do. And if it's for this person, then that's fine. And if not, then that's fine too. And, we're friends now. She's going to be my patient when I enter the clinic. And she sat through the whole thing and she nodded along. And at the end, I said, does anyone have any questions or anything that they want to add? We sat and had a little chat. And then afterwards in private, I said to her, what did you think? And she says, yep, everything checks out. There's one point that you said at the end that maybe I wouldn't completely agree with, but everything you said checks out. And I'm when you enter the clinic, you let me know, and I'm going to be your patient. It's that easy.
I know.
You don't have to change anything or argue with them or debate.
No, not at all. We have had the same. We have had MDs in our healthcare class. And they were just like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, it's easy. You just have to be open to everyone. And that's it. And that's why the tribe is so important. For me, the Circle of Fire, Stu Bittman, Mark and Lynn, meditations, it opens my heart. So I can love everyone. I love some more and some less, of course. Some are closer, some are not so close. But that's not just important for our patients, that they come in and I welcome them with an open heart. It's also for other chiropractors. The person who's working at the supermarket, it's for everyone, okay? Because our society is so cold, and we call it an elbow society because you just put out the elbows to get through. And we need much more of this tribes, community, and heart.
And having that respect for others,
of course,
that may have a different opinion.
They all have a story.
Yeah, like with even with other professions, like the medical doctors, and within our own profession. Like when I'm speaking to medical doctors, I'm like, okay, I'd stay away from vaccines and stuff like that because it's not. I don't really consider it my scope. I just want to talk about chiropractic, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about chiropractic. Here's what I deliver. Here's what I don't deliver. If that is for you, then great, come join me in the clinic. If not, that's cool too. And I have a slide at the start of my PowerPoint, and it's a picture of me in intensive care. I had an anaphylactic shock when I was 20, and basically they got me, long story short, they got me into intensive care just as my throat closed over, and they saved my life. So the first slide, it's like, welcome to chiropractic. And then the second slide is me in intensive care.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, okay, I just want to make a disclaimer. We're going to talk about some new stuff today. We're going to maybe look at health in a perspective that you haven't been exposed to before. I just want to make it very clear right from the word go. Nothing that I say in this talk is against the medical profession. I'm not saying, oh, they're bad. But this is emergency care. I'm going to try and give you a different perspective on healthcare. And the medical doctors will sit and they're like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Same with Pam Jarbo was saying only an hour ago in her speech. Whether it's the straights and the mixers, or you use this different technique or that different technique, or maybe you're more of a nerd and you want to do the research. She says there's a place for everyone. There's a place for the high volume, 5 minutes per patient chiropractors. If you want to spend half an hour with a patient, more power to you. Go ahead. If you want to use all different modalities, there's a place for you.
I think it's all about being authentic. You have to be yourself, and whatever that is. And that is what I found about myself through the tribe. The power inside me, the fire which is really in my heart, in my body, for life, for chiropractic, of course, but also for life, for a lot of stuff. And I was so insecure. Although everyone said, yeah, you're extrovert, whatever. But inside, I was not.
Because you had that fear of failure?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and actually, of course, many women say that, but I'm really thankful for my husband because he went on holiday in March this year. And he said, okay, are we closing the practice? And he said, no, I'm going alone. You are in the practice. You are going to adjust all the patients. And I said, no way. And he said, of course. So I had the help of a very good friend, Birte Stockebrand. And so she helped me most of the times. But for example, the Thursday morning, I was totally alone. And I was adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. And actually, on Tuesday, on the first day, when I had done the first day, I knew I could do it. I knew I could do the whole week. And with these, we were open 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I found to my inner chiropractic strength, into my adjustment, into my energy adjusting. That was so good. And it was like jumping into cold water. Do you say that?
Yeah.
We say, yeah. And that was perfect. That was my comfort zone just exploding. And like so many other times and during the last 2 years. So, but just because people believed in me. And what I really try to do is give that to others.
And be the one to push them.
That's it. Even if it's RCAs or some friends who are not sure if they want to quit their job and start something new, other chiropractors, students, we are all insecure at some point. And I found out how many people pushed me in a very nice, sometimes not so nice way, like my husband, but in a very effective way. And everyone is different also in that, how to push someone. And I love to do that to others too.
Yeah.
So
for me, it's not quite the same thing. Like I'm not in practice, but at the last ChiroEurope, Daniel Sterling, he runs MLS in Europe. He's basically my boss.
I've been to a seminar.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the MLS, I do all the social media content for them. So he's basically my boss. And at the, I go to the hotel and I get a message from him saying, I've organized a mini seminar on the beach tomorrow, like a little club to come and train together. Long story short, I'm not going to make it. I'm staying here with my family. I want you to coach. Now, I think I'm pretty good at public speaking or like this kind of thing, like sitting talking with different people, but understand I'm not a coach. I'm not a technique coach. Like I can do it. I think I'm a decent adjuster. Like for my level, I'm okay. Not great, not bad. But being asked to explain it in such a way and coach it and be able to dissect it into its fine points, like the likes of Danny, like he's been asked every question that you can be asked already. And I said to him, like, I don't want to do this. And he said, no, like you're doing it. You're ready. And really, against my better judgment, I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of begrudgingly, I went out on the first day, and I thought, yeah, maybe like if 5 people turn up, like we'll be happy. I think it was like 15 people showed up.
Cool.
And I'm looking beside I was like, everyone meet beside the pool. I show up, there's 15 people, and I'm like, oh shit, like what's going to happen? It went really well.
Yeah, cool.
This
of
was
course.
on the Friday morning, and I said, okay, like he'd only said to do it on the Friday morning. I said, if we do one on the Saturday morning, are you going to show up? Are you guys going to show up? Is it worth me doing it? Is it worth my time? Yeah. And of course, everyone's fresh and they've all got the endorphin rush because we've been on the beach for an hour and a half. And they're like, yeah, we'll be here. If you sort the time, we'll be here. I'm like, okay, same time tomorrow beside the beach. But then, they go out after ChiroEurope at the night time and they have a couple of beer and they have a couple of wine. You know how it goes. And the next day, I think there was just 5 of us, 7 of us that showed up. But we still went and did it.
Okay, cool.
But sometimes it's the same with you in the clinic. It just takes that nudge.
Yeah, it's comfort zone. It's getting out of the comfort zone. And actually, my comfort zone is quite different than most of the people's because I'm a skydiver. So my comfort zone starts in 4,000 meters when the door opens of the plane. And that is where I feel free, where I feel so good just jumping out and like being in the air.
Jumping out of a perfectly good plane.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, hopefully not. No. And that is my comfort zone. So many people think I'm crazy. I'm like an adrenaline junkie, and it has nothing to do with adrenaline. That's perhaps the first jumps you do. It's really about getting your head free and enjoying the moment every second. It's like it's a crazy skydiver's saying, we know why birds sing. And that's really true. That actually helped me a lot when my mom died. On the weekend after, I went skydiving just for me, just alone.
To relax?
It was to get my head free, to like everything that had happened during the months before when she got very ill. It was just like calming down. And that is quite crazy for someone who has never jumped out of a plane or just once with a not so good experience. And for me, it's just like, it was just like, calming down.
From my perspective, I mean, like, I'm sorry about your mum, but it's baffling to me that you would go through that and then decide to go skydiving to relax. Because I've done one skydive, tick, and never again. I'm quite happy. I've ticked that box. I've crossed it off the bucket list. But for me to fathom that as something that's relaxing, crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that. Something went wrong on your jump. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But for me, it's great. It's my sport. It's a real sport.
That's great.
And you can feel it on the day after when you have done 5, 6, 7 jumps. So, and I love it.
How many jumps are you on now?
330.
And your husband?
Almost 2,000.
Okay. Mm-hmm. My chiropractor back in Ireland that I worked for as a CA, she was a skydiver. When I first met her, she had maybe 300, I think, as well. That's when I started working for her. Now she's way up, like in the thousands. And I don't know what it is with these chiropractors that like jumping out of perfectly good planes. And I'm like, you work with your bodies, like you work with your hands. If you well, I'm just not going to entertain that. Like if I think that I'm going to fall bad, then I'll fall bad, but it just doesn't enter into my mind. And
actually, the most dangerous thing about skydiving is the way in your car to the drop zone. Actually, statistically, it's the most dangerous thing. Driving the car to the drop zone. Well, it's not skydiving.
Fair play to you. I think if I was to do it again, I would, this sounds really weird, but I would want to do it on my own. Because then I'm in control of what happens.
Yeah.
Basically, long story short, for anyone listening, we had the conversation last night that whenever I did a skydive, we were the last ones to jump out the plane. And I knew the instructor. So the instructor decided to mess with me a little bit. And instead of doing it the proper protocol that we were taught on the ground where, you fall out forward and you try and kick your bum and extend your head back. Instead of doing that, we went out the plane backwards and then he somersaulted a load of times. So I would just see sky, earth, sky, earth, sky, earth, sky, earth, getting closer and closer. And it actually won an award that year. It won the award at the Skydivers Night Out, at the end of the year, the Skydivers Christmas party. It won worst exit of the year. in Northern Ireland, so claim to fame. I have some skydiving experience.
You can ask Stu. Stu has skydiving experience
Stu
too.
did skydive?
Yeah, with us.
Okay.
After the chiropractic from the Heart in Hamburg, we brought him to the drop zone and he did a skydive with my husband, with Jan.
How have I not heard of this?
Yeah, because it's a secret. No, it's not a secret.
Not anymore?
Not anymore now. Yeah, actually, we have had about, I think it's 45, 50 chiropractors who came to see us to jump out of a plane until now. It was, we started with that 2017. 18 people of our coaching group. We did the coaching with Mark and Lynn, so 18 people jumped out with us. And of course, other friends who are tandem masters. And the Circle of Fire ladies. This year we had 10 people, 10 chiropractors coming from whole Europe. Next year we already have 24 people who signed in for chiropractic superstar tandem jumping close to Hamburg.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's about comfort zone. It's about really getting out of your comfort zone and feeling that more is possible than you think. Because much more is possible than we all think.
For sure.
Yeah, we have so much more power in us. We are the bears. We are the bears, really. But when do we really live it? When do we really step out and say, I'm the bear? In normal life, not only at ChiroEurope. Every day. When you stand up, you look in the mirror, and who's really saying, I'm the bear?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, good morning. Okay, let's go to work. So, and that's all about it. Yeah.
And sometimes just getting that, I think people think that success, it's all a couple of motivational, I am the bear, the fireworks going off moments, but sometimes it is just the consistency, the day-to-day, like keeping that momentum when you don't want to go and do the training or you don't want to study that day. It's just getting it done. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just putting one foot in front of the other and getting into that momentum.
It's not just my tattoos. Every tattoo has a is a symbol for me, and it's not just for fun that I have the 4 animals of the sweat lodge on my arm. Actually, it's our wedding tattoo. My husband has the same because these 4 energy animals of the sweat lodge really mean a lot to us. And so the bear is not just like, yeah, at ChiroEurope I'm the bear. No, we are the bears. Same with Imagine, the song we always listen at the end of ChiroEurope. And I found it, I don't know if you know it, we went to Lesbos with some chiropractors to a refugee camp and worked there for 1 week. And we came into the refugee camp and the first thing we saw was a container where the children are supposed to have music classes. And which song was written on that container? Of course, Imagine.
Wow.
And we got goosebumps because we all had been to ChiroEurope. It's just like, wow, look. So, of course, I got it on my arm. It really means something to me. It reminds me of what's important, of my energy, my fire, my tribe. When I have slept bad or not a good day, I put on Robbie Williams' I Love My Life. Because when we heard that at ChiroEurope, it was last year, it was just like, yes. And there is one sentence in it which is so important. It says, what was it? Need to look it up. Find the others with hearts like yours. Okay. And that's a tribe. That's a tribe. It's not about like power. It's about like-minded people, like-minded hearts. And I listen to that song until I'm in a good mood. It can be 1 time. It can be 5 times in a row. And it always gets my energy high.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's
and the song is cool, actually. I love my life. And I love my life. It's my song. I adapted it from ChiroEurope. It's, I'm free, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful. All these things that he's saying, yeah. And if you say that into the mirror every day, one day your brain is going to believe it. And you believe it. And you get it into your heart. And that's what you show to other people. And crazy stuff, more patients come in. Because they can see it, they can feel it, they want to be part of it.
That's what I like doing these. I said to you before we started that I like just hitting record and letting it go, because I like hanging around with chiropractors. That's why I do this show. That's why I do my stuff and Louise kind of does his stuff, because he's out there to educate the public with his material, his content. Me, I like just hanging around with chiropractors and getting different perspectives. So, I mean, without going on too much of a tangent, for me, the standing in front of a mirror saying I love my life isn't going to work. But I never looked at it from that perspective. When they play Imagine at the end of ChiroEurope, yeah, when they do all the hugging stuff, I go, because
I will keep you hugged next time.
It's not for me. Like, I like it. I like the whole sense of community. But when they put on Imagine and they're hugging, I'm going to the bar. Like,
okay.
But for you, that's what gets you through the hard time. And for me, it's other stuff. It's probably more the separate conversations that I'll have with individual people that will then, whenever I'm having a hard time, get me through, or that having that support network behind you, or more so the content that you'll hear from the stage. But it's just two different personalities. But that's why I like doing this, because then I'm exposed more to it.
Yeah.
Okay. For you, you're the third guest that I've had on, the first person, and they've all been women thus far. So in keeping with that theme, you've spoke a lot today about comfort zones, and especially your tribe, as with ChiroEurope with both the sexes, but especially in Circle of Fire with your team of women. For any women in particular that are listening now, that are wanting to push through their comfort zone and maybe haven't been exposed to that, do you want to elaborate a little bit on
the Circle of Fire?
You can talk about Circle of Fire, you can talk about moving out of your comfort zone. How do they contact you if they want to talk about this sort of thing?
They can find me, everyone can find me on Facebook, Stina Herz. Actually, my last name Herz, you know what it means? It's heart. Okay. My last name is Heart, like the heart in your chest. So, Stina Herz, I'm on Facebook. Our practice is called, of course, Chiropractic with Heart, close to Hamburg. You can always contact me. I always answer within short time. You can find the Circle of Fire on, is it Eventbrite, I think. It's a gathering in March next year, the next gathering.
And what is it for anyone that doesn't know?
It's only women meeting, having a good time, meditating. We are doing sweat lodge. We are doing fire walk. We are also going into business stuff. How to present ourselves, how to find ourselves. Who are we? I remember the first time I went there, they made me brag about myself. I have never bragged about myself. I thought one should not do that. Why should I brag about myself? I'm not better than anyone else. But actually, everyone is special. Everyone. And if you have something what is very much you, which identifies you, which is special about you, you can brag about it, of course. And we did that, and we did a lot of other stuff. The food is amazing, and we really try to talk about us, talk about also our problems, our challenges, and the others are there to support you. And that works out so good. That's and great. You have friends forever, for life. I just invited all the girls from the Circle of Fire to my house in December, because I said, I need my tribe more. It's not enough to see them at ChiroEurope, because not everyone is there. Sometimes only some of them are there, because they don't have time. They have families, they have practices. So sometimes we see at a seminar. So I said, okay, everyone who wants to come to my house. We're just having a nice weekend, hanging around, meditating, talking, eating, walking in nature, all this stuff. So I think women need to support women, because we are different than men. I think the same with men, supporting men. And also we should support each other, men and women. Yep. But there's a time for every of these groups, and women talk totally differently if they are alone with each other.
Yeah. Men too.
No, I know it because I've done sweat lodges only with women and sweat lodges with men. And the shit that comes out if women are alone, whoa, it's really hard. Because all of us, we have something that we don't want our partner to know, things out of our past which hurted us. Because when your partner knows something that hurt you, another person perhaps who hurt you, it's difficult. It might be difficult. So, but if you're with women that you trust, you can let this shit out, really. And it's so good to talk about it when you first took the step to talk it or say it out loud. And that's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. And I never had that many women in my life like I have now. But I'm over 40. And when you get over 40, it gets much easier in life, really. I'm so much more relaxed. And it's also because of chiropractic, also because I have a great partner, because my son is turning 18 next week. So I'm through that. But it's also because really about hormones changing in the body. You get more relaxed. It's so much easier, to just do what I want, not what others want. And so I'm so happy that I have this tribe, no matter if it's only women or men and women, ChiroEurope, all these groups.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of seminars, but I never would have thought. I know that there are ones where it's just the guys. I've never been to one, and I never really would have thought about it. But you have a good point. It's good to have your tribe all together, but then if it's just the men together or just the women together, surprisingly, I mean, that's why I want to have a lot of women come to talk, to get the message out there, because my chiropractic mentors, I have a lot, but a lot of them were women right from the start. So the first adjustment I had and my first job was with Joanne Wilson. Marie is downstairs. She brought me to my first ChiroEurope. And then you've got like Auntie Lynn and Auntie Pam, all mentoring. Obviously there's guys in there as well, but that's what I'm saying. Chiropractic's a great profession for women.
I know.
But it's good that you have your tribe, and what we'll do now, wrap it up, and then we're back to Science of Subluxation, which we would probably both recommend that you go to.
Absolutely. Great Theo. Seminar. Thank you to Theo for organizing the APQ. Really amazing speakers, really how to talk subluxation to your patients without using the word subluxation perhaps, and how to spread the chiropractic message. Great seminar.
And go to different seminars, because they're all it's a different theme, it's a different vibe, it's a different energy. Go to ChiroEurope. ChiroEurope's good to get recharged. Chiropractic's the rah-rah, and it's good to connect with your people. Then you've got this one, which is more the science side of things. And we're talking about communication. We're talking about more the business. It's like the number 4 on Mark Hudson's, his list that he does, like the number 4.
His flip chart.
Yeah.
His famous flip chart.
The famous flip chart that everyone's seen. And also, I recommend BCC Lyceum. BCC Lyceum, are you going to that?
No, I'm sorry.
I really recommend. It's in October. It's a small seminar, and it's more, again, about communicating the science of subluxation. So when that medical doctor comes in and they're not like arguing with you, but when they challenge you, what's a good, respectful, but principled way to give them your argument?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep, I highly recommend. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it was great.
And let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, of course.